Hello everybody, I am Sammy15 the Dragon Team here today. And today we have yet another Decklist interview with Austen Vance. And today who has been generous to share with us his list. His slightly odd Yveltal Vileplume deck. Now, before we go too much into this, why did you decide to play this deck in general?
Um, 3 days before the event, I had no idea what I wanted to play. I never really liked any of the decks. At first, like as everybody else, I was leaning towards Night March because I felt like it was the best deck. But I didn't really want to. I wasn't sure about how you can really beat Trevenant or Greninja for that matter. And also, like Giratina decks would be obviously hyped for week one because of how powerful people like how people realized Night March was really powerful in this format because of the addition of like Fighting Fury Belt and Time Puzzle.
Mhm.
So oddly enough, I felt like against the Giratina decks, um, I oh well, actually before I go into my reasoning why I've played it, my friend James Hart, he's the one that came up with the deck initially. Our lists are vastly different. He also got top 16 from what I recall correctly, or top 32, something like that. It was a pretty big tournament.
Mhm.
Um, he made me realize like all the matchups it really had because he thought of it, but like during cities, but never really like made a list for it or anything. So he reminded me of the thought like all the deck and stuff. So oddly enough, it has actually it's Night March is probably one of its best matchups. I know it has like the main attacker's Lightning Weak, and it can be very vulnerable. But Vileplume is obviously something crazy to deal with for Night March. So like even if you go second in the matchup when they're able to play like half their deck, if you're able to hit that red card, which you normally do a lot, you can dig through your deck like crazy like Night March does. Um, and you can hit that red card Vileplume combo, and they'll probably only be able to take like couple knockouts before it's completely over, and they'll have to attack with Joltik, so the Shaman can clean that up. So that's one of the big factors of why I wanted to play this deck because the matchup wasn't really that bad, and also it had like an auto win against Trevenant. Like the matchup's like way too easy. As long as you draw energies, you win, and you'll eventually be able to set up your own Vileplume even under the lock because you can just hit your supporters and just Sycamore being able to evolve pretty fast with Forest. So we knew the Trevenant matchup was locked down, and then against Greninja, Greninja has to rely a lot on being able to play like down a decent amount of their item cards to be able to abuse the Octillery and draw into their water energies to be able to use the water shurikens. So we knew that that shuts that down really well, especially the red card plus Vileplume. It does that to a lot of decks. Like they just draw past a lot,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to deal with a 170 HP basic that punishes you for attaching energy under item lock when that kind of the only thing you can really play, to
Mhm.
be honest. And you're able to cycle your energies, which is probably the main reason I played this deck, because being able to cycle your energies with Y Cyclone is amazing. And it's really hard to deal with keeping your energies on the board plus item lock, and it's just ridiculous. Against Toad Tina, I feel like handles it pretty well. It always has been able to handle Toad decks, and with like Toad is useless against you because you're both not able to play items anyway. It does like 30 damage.
Yeah.
Um, Giratina needs like 4 energies to be able to attack whatsoever. So if you get like a couple energies, like 2 or 3 energies on your Yveltal EX, you'll be able to knock out that Giratina quite easily.
Yeah, Yveltal has always been the bane of Giratina's existence.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case. So we realized that it beats all the decks that we were really afraid of, and we realized that Manectric was a terrible play week one because of its matchups. It like the standard Manectric deck, it loses to Greninja, it loses to Night March, it loses to those Toad Tina decks or those any Giratina variant.
Hmm.
So we counted that out and thought people would not think it would be a good play because how hyped Night March and all those other decks were for week one. So that's basically my reasoning for playing the deck because I thought it was really strong, it was really consistent, and um, got the Vileplume as almost as consistently as Vileplume Vespiquen.
Nice. So, for So this was Georgia, correct?
Yes, week 1,
Week
Georgia.
week one, Georgia. So walk us through your tournament. What did you play against round one, and how did that matchup go?
Uh, Ironically enough, I played against Manetric round 1. Um, I honestly I also play a one of Malamar EX that you can see in my list.
Yep.
It's mainly to deal with Manetric because actually it gives you like a fighting edge against the deck, and it did work game 1. Game 1 I was able to cycle energy, get the turn 1 Vileplume, cycle energies to my Malamars with Y Cyclones and stuff.
Hmm.
And once he was able to Turbo Bolt, he wouldn't really be able to get energies in the discard because under item lock, it's actually pretty tough to get those energies in the discard anyway to be able to Turbo Bolt to another Pokemon. So
Yeah.
I think when he did Turbo Bolt that one time, it was like one energy, but he wasn't really able to get many other. He was able to knock out my Yveltal, take a couple prizes there,
Mhm.
and then I was able to kill the Manetric and sweep with Malamar, putting stuff to sleep. So even if I didn't kill it, he stays asleep under item lock. There's nothing you can really do about that, unless you have your one of AZ, and you can only do that once. Game 2, I had a pretty bad start. I think he just maybe it wasn't really my bad start. I think it was just my opponent's crazy start. He was able to get double Spirit Link Manetrix down, an energy on the active, Ultra Ball for that Mega Manetric. I whiffed the red card Vileplume combo, so I wasn't
Uh,
able to get rid of that, and it was game over there, so I just scooped early, so it would save time. Because game 1 was kind of long. It was
Makes
like
sense.
maybe almost 30 minutes, probably.
Woo!
So I was able to get um, a 20-minute game. I knew I can do it. I just had to go more aggressive with
Mhm.
my play, and you can really afford to do that when they're not really able to draw much. Um, so I did that route. I went super aggressive, more aggressive than I normally did. Evil balling instead of conserving energy when I knew he wouldn't have the knockout. Uh, so I did that, and then I was able to set up Malamar, and this is where it went downhill. I was gonna win. Like I only needed to flip maybe like one heads, one time, and then
Uh,
after like 3 attacks, but I only flipped like one heads each time. I needed to flip at least two a couple times and then one the other time. And when I had like 4 or 5 energies on me, I was flipping a lot of tails. But fortunately, I thought I was still gonna win because even if I do miss that, I was able to put him to sleep. But every time I put him to sleep, he woke up except for once, which is that crucial turn. If I hit like 2 heads, I would have won the game. I would have wiped out all of his energies on the board.
uh-huh.
But I was able to only flip one heads every time, as I said before, and he was able to knock out my Malamar for a game, and that was kind of unfortunate. But
Uh,
it made me realize that the Manetric matchup wasn't as bad as I thought it was going into the tournament. It's just that if I'm able to at least like flip decently and being able to Vileplume like early enough to like stop him. But the hard thing is like Vileplume didn't really hurt him that much game 3 because he played so many supporters. I at least looked through his discard. I count like 11 or 12, maybe even more. Like he played like Hex, AZ, Zerosic, a couple Skylas, 4 Sycamore, heavy Judge, like 2/2 Birch Judge line. It was like ridiculous.
wow.
I was like, how was he able to blow up? But it was an obviously good list. He went 6-2, and then for round 2, basically the Malamar thing that happened in game 1
So
against
wait,
the.
did he win the Magic or did he lose?
I lost. I
Okay,
lost.
so making sure.
I mean, not game 2. Round 2, I played against another Manetric, and I was really. I thought I was like, I'm so unlucky. Uh, but the now that I had more familiar like matchup with the deck, I was able to get that Vileplume out and uh, just disrupt him. He wasn't really able to do anything. Both games, I was able to Malamar sweep, so it was pretty simple. I think round 3 I played against a Greninja deck, and I got the Vileplume out both games, and he wasn't really able to do anything. I think the only thing he was able to water duplicates once, and then nothing else after that. I was just Y cycloning, evil balling, doing all my things. Uh, round 4, I think I played against a Night March.
Hmm.
And this was my first match. I was like, okay, cool. This is one of the good matchups for the deck that I was preparing for. I was basically able to get turn 1 Vileplume, game 1 and 2. Game 1, I didn't get the red card, but it doesn't really matter against Night March to get when you're going first because their hand's going to be most likely full of items. It won't do much. And I was able to like attach energy, get turn 1 Vileplume Floatstone, and he drew attaches and pass to his active like Pokemon, so I just attach energy and kill it. Game 2, it was similar. He was able to like draw a lot, like play a lot of stuff, but I was able to megaphone his Fury Belts and Floatstones because I didn't reveal it last game, so he assumed I didn't play it because it's kind of weird to play that in a Vileplume deck, but megaphone was also used against Manectric as well, so they can't like get the turn 2 consistently. So that's why I put it in, but it also helped against like Night March and stuff, I guess. It was kind of nice. I was able to megaphone, put him in a worse situation, red card. I was able to dig through my deck, get that Floatstone Vileplume combo and an energy and pass. And he was not able. He drew pass, and I just knocked out his active Joltik, and then knocked out the next Pokemon that came up. So that's basically it.
This is going into round 5, correct?
Yes, I'm going to round 5 right now.
Your record is 3-1, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, it's no problem. Round 5 is probably the unluckiest games of Pokemon I had in a while. It's playing against my friend Kyle Warden. He's a local Georgia player. He's actually pretty good. He got a World's Invite this year.
Nice.
Early. He was playing Seismitoad Crobat with Lugia EX. This matchup, the only thing I worried about was the Lugia, but he plays a lot of items and stuff, so it was really nice. I think this is where like I didn't expect anybody to play this card, so I didn't really worry about it. Game 1, I wasn't able to get the Vileplume off for the first time that day, so I had a Gloom Floatstone, and I had a Sycamore and 2 other cards, and I had a Forest in play. He draws. He top decks he top decks and looks at it for his hand for like maybe 30 seconds. He's like, oh gosh, he plays all his cards and then plays a Delinquent, and then I have like no cards in hand. I'm like, oh god, I completely forgot. I had to read the card. I completely forgot about it, and he got rid of my whole hand. And I tried to see if I can get any other cards. He just Quaking Punched me twice, and I was like, okay, I got to scoop. There's no point in playing this. Game 2, I got the turn 1 Vileplume and red card combo. I got it surprisingly a lot, which is funny, but when you're able to dig through your whole deck, basically, and do that, it's kind of funny. So I won that game. Game 3, I was able to like have like really good hands and stuff. He had a Silent Lab turn 1, which kind of was annoying, but I had to state him anyway, so it didn't really matter the more I thought about it. But I was able to play all these cards, but I kept drawing to all my energies when I was playing Shaman and Acrobike, so I was never able to get off the turn 1 Vileplume. And I think I also drew like 2 Vileplume in my hand. I'm like, oh god. If I'm able to get a Gloom next turn, the turn 2 Vileplume is still really devastating. Like, even if they get like another turn of items, it doesn't really matter because they're not able to like survive the long game. So then I wasn't able to get the Vileplume that turn, but it was all right. I knew I had a game plan as long as I got like an Ultra Ball. I had a lot of outs in the deck to be able to get another Pokemon. And I had a Sycamore in hand as well, so like even if I had a Sycamore, it was alright because I have a 3rd Vileplume in deck from when I checked. He wasn't able to get the turn 1 Quaking Punch, so that really helped too. So I was able to set up. It was easier to set up next turn, which was nice. But the thing is, I start my second turn, and I have like 2 energies, 2 Vileplume, some other stuff I really didn't want to discard against a Toad deck. And I top decked my last Vileplume, and I think I only had like a basic and another Pokemon, and he knocked out that basic with like a Lugia or something. I think it was probably an Oddish or something like that. My other basic, I had a Lugia. I had to be able to actually like do anything whatsoever, be able to attack. I can't just like stand there and draw pass while he knocks out everything. I had to send up a Gloom, an Oddish. Another Oddish, I think, or a Shaman. It was one of those. It was a while ago. But I know it was an Oddish or a Gloom or a Shaman or something. I just sent him that, and I top decked my third Vileplume. I had to Sycamore it away so I wouldn't get benched out. It was awful. So I wasn't
Ah.
able to Vileplume or anything that game. And so I kind of lost. I wasn't able to really attack till like turn whatever, like till it's too late, and he won that game. And uh, that's just, I guess, how it works. I got TCGO hand, and I
Yeah.
knew that with that, I knew like since we barely had enough for 8 rounds, I knew that a 6-2 record would make it,
Yeah.
and my first round opponent and Kyle were on their way to making cut. They were both X1, so I wasn't too worried. Um, so I was 3-2 at this point, going to round 6. I think I played against another Greninja. Yeah, I played against. No, wait, round 6. No, this was the night march. So I was like really excited. I was like, this is another really good matchup. And basically, what happened in round 4 happened in this round. I was able to
Yeah.
get the Vileplume, Shaman his Joltik or Evil Ball it, whatever, and kill it. Um, and then round 7, I played against a Greninja. The same thing happened again. Like it was the same. Like it was just repeating itself, like the round. So I was like really confident. I was like, okay. I looked at all. I won against the Greninja. Um, draw path both games, which was cool. Uh, and oh, one thing about that Greninja matchup, he instead of announcing Moonlight Slash, he said Shadow Stitch. So it gave me a turn to play my own items, and it was awesome. And
Nice.
it made my win a little easier, but I felt like he was in a situation where he couldn't come back because that was his only Greninja, and I was just able to attach energies and kill it. So that was cool. Next round after that, which was round 8, I played against another Night March. This actually was a little closer because he won the coin flip game 1, I think. I was still able to win that game, but it was more close. He was able to consistently have DCEs in VS Seeker Hex like twice, so he's able to take 4 prizes. But then I locked him down with the red card Vileplume that one turn, and shamaned his Joltik with the energy. So he only had like 2 energies left in deck. So with like a 20 card deck and a lot of supporters gone because digging through your deck does that to you, and that's Night March. And I was able to lock him and Evil Ball everything for knockout after I killed his only energy on the board. So that was pretty cool. And then game 2, he went he went first, and I think he just hit everything he needed at every turn. Just basically Night March thing, like
Hmm.
really lucky Night March. He was able to hex every turn, take a knockout. I didn't. I was able to have a Malamar active, but he was holding on to his Sycamore and like 3 Night Marchers in hand, and able to discard all those Night Marchers to kill my Malamar with a Joltik. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks, but whatever. I knew losing that game didn't really matter. Game 3, if I get that Vileplume turn 1 or turn 2, I should be fine. And I got the turn 1 red card Vileplume lock, so I was able to just say Evil Ball and win. And that's all that really happened. So I was 6-2. I knew my losses and my wins were they actually did really well, except for one player, my round 2 player. I think he went like 2 something drop. So that was my only bad
Aw.
resistance. Um, and I went to the standings. I was like, oh sweet. I think like I wasn't like surprised if I didn't make cut or not because I knew that only 2 6-2s were gonna make it and 3 were gonna whiff.
Yeah.
Uh, so I checked the standings. I get 9th, and I was like, oh well, I don't care. Then I look at the percentages. The 8th seed, he had a 56.73 percentage, and I looked at mine. I had a 56.47. So I was
Ooh.
0.26% off from making it. And my matchup, the first seed was Brandon Salazar playing Night March. So I was like, oh my gosh, that would have been an easy win. That would have been nice. And if I would have made it, would have been a one step closer to getting my invite. So I wasn't really salty. I had 3 weeks left though.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny that how like close I was. So that was week 1.
All right. Next week, week 2 is South Carolina, correct?
Yes.
All right. What changes did you make between weeks?
The changes I made, I added a Jirachi promo because of two things. It makes the Night March mirror like more like if they get super lucky, it doesn't really matter because you're able to get rid of their energy and they can't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to set up a turn. And also with the amount of Night March that did well week 1 and all the other item reliant decks like YZG did pretty well that weekend, and they play a lot of items. So I knew Vespiquen Vileplume would also see a rise in play because it had good matchups against both of those decks.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that the Jirachi promo helps a lot in that matchup because like if under item lock, I think Jirachi is probably one of the best attackers under item lock in the game right now. Being able to like Stardust and they can't. They're under item lock, so they have to either Lysander and Tangent Energy and then get Stardust again, and then they can't deal with that. They can't really do that much. So that's what happened. That's what I made, and then I took out the Malamar because I knew with the dominance of like YZG and Night March that Manectric couldn't really do anything. Like was no way that can beat all these decks that just naturally beat it. So I took out the Malamar, accepted that loss. So if I played against it, it was just because I was doing bad at the tournament. So I didn't really care. And I added a Revitalizer and a 4th Oddish. Like I felt like the starting the Oddish is really good, and not starting one of my attackers, because I'm gonna have to hit the Floatstone on my Vileplume anyway. So if I'm able to start Oddish, I have a more likely chance of getting that Vileplume out and also pulling off that combo. Like starting off attackers is really nice, but in a lot of situations, especially when you're going like first, they're able to, if you miss that crucial Vileplume, or if they're just playing an attacker that does a lot of damage for 1 energy, then that can really hurt you. Because even under item lock, that can still like be devastating. It just really depends on the situation. So I like starting with a non-EX, and also it forces a 7 prize game, which is always nice.
So what did you take out for the Jirachi and the Revitalizer?
I took out a Floatstone, my 4th Floatstone for the Revitalizer, and took out Malamar for the Jirachi promo.
Well, what did you take out for the 4th Oddish?
The 4th Oddish? Well, let me check. I remember vaguely. Let me go to my list. For the 4th Oddish, I think it was what was it? Nope. I think I took out. I don't remember what I took out, but I knew it was something that affected the Night March matchup, and didn't really. Oh, it was the Megaphone because of I was sacrificing that matchup against Manectric. So those are the changes I made.
Okay. Just so in other words, a 3-card change.
Yes.
Okay. Making sure.
Yeah. So you want me to go through the same process of why I played this again, or?
No, well, why did you decide? Well, basically, why did you decide to play this deck again for week 2?
Because I felt like the matchups, it didn't have any like. Obviously, it's a deck that can lose. I think the only bad matchup it had going into week 2 was itself, because sometimes those Vileplume decks they never really get the Vileplume out. And also, I felt like this was a better Vileplume deck like than Vespiquen Vileplume, and I still think that right now, because you're able to survive like hits unlike Vespiquen, because it only has 90 HP, and you're losing your 1 of 4. It only plays 4 energies as well. Even with Bundlebee, I think it still kind of is rough to get back your energies. And being able to be a beefy attacker really helps. That's the main reason. Because I thought about it and I was wondering why I picked this over Vileplume, and that was the reason. So I stuck with it, and I also thought that the matchups it had weren't bad at all. It just beat. I think it just beat almost everything in the meta that I was expecting, and the more I thought about it, I didn't really see any terrible matchups it had. Like it had a lot of like close ones, but never had like terrible ones. So that's the main reason why I played it.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just remembered something. And also, I thought that item lock decks would be more popular, so decks like Trevenant and other Vileplume variants.
Nice.
And that was correct.
So, all right. So run us through your tournament again. Now, this was a 7-round tournament, correct?
Yes, it was 7. I had a 502 record going into the second seed. So I can go through my matches pretty quickly because they weren't long at all.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's pretty hilarious. Okay, round one, I played against Trevenant. So I was like, okay, this is really cool. I like this matchup. Uh, I was able to get turn one Vileplume, and just Evil Ball is Phantoms and Trevenants,
Yeah, it's a pretty good
and
matchup in
win,
your favor.
and win.
Yeah.
Game two, um, I was able to do basically the same thing. It just took a little longer because he was item locking me turn one, so I had a little bit of slower start. He was able to attack and set up multiple Trevenants, but he wasn't able to get the burst balloons down, which is really huge because I was still able to get like Vileplume like turn two. Luckily, I had opened Oddish and a Gloom, and then I was able to Sycamore get well, actually not really happily discarding my Gloom, but I got a Gloom Vileplume Forest in my hand, able to play down those cards, being able to item lock him, and just Evil Ball and one shot everything. So that was nice. So it was clean 2-0 against Trevenant. Round two, I played against another Trevenant. I think his name, yeah, it was Orion Craig. I think
Oh,
a
yep.
lot of you know him.
Yep.
He had, I think his list was a lot better. Like it just coincidentally had a better time against my deck because he played Flare Grunts and Zorosic, which was really tough to deal with. Expect like even when we're both under item lock, which was nice. So game one, I was able to do what my deck does. He started Shaman. I start Shaman. I touch Floatstone. I was able to do all my stuff. Touch Floatstone to my Gloom. Get my Vileplume then, and then able to attach Energy, retreat, and I pass. Because I like just in case like I didn't know he played the disruption cards yet. Because most of the other Trevenant decks just go for straight like turn one, and they didn't really play any disruptions till the later weeks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So wasn't worried about that. So I did like I was still like just saying like if you have a Zorosic in hand, then I'm kind of screwed. So even if after I got that red card Vileplume combo, I retreated to my Yveltal. There's no like hurt, like it doesn't hurt me to retreat anyway,
Mm-hmm.
unless he has like a Flare Grunt. But and yeah, he had a Flare Grunt, but I had like other energies in hand to be able to attack, and it didn't. It like delayed him one turn, and I was able to win by like turn 3 or 4 doing Evil Ball and a shame.
Nice.
Game two, it was a little different, especially with him getting turn one item lock and being able to abuse like playing trainers and hitting like and saving those disruption cards in hand. He had like a Flare Grunt and Zorosic in hand, and I wasn't really able to do anything. Wasn't able to set the Vileplume, so I lost that game. And then game three, it was basically the same thing as game one. I was able to get the Vileplume lock in, attach energies, and slowly disrupt and destroy his board. So right now I'm 2-0, which is really nice.
Yeah, it is really nice.
It's kind of like it's kind of like nerve wracking. Was even if I'm playing against like a deck that plays a lot of items, but I know that as long as I can draw my energies, I play a lot of them, like a decent amount of them for my deck. So I wasn't worried. So as long as I draw my energies against these item lock decks, then I'll be fine. Because I expected a lot, but there was just a ridiculous amount around me. So I knew I'd most likely play against another one. Round three, played against a Trevenant. Surprise.
Yeah.
Actually, was it round? No, round three I played against a Vileplume Vespiquen, actually. I think this is probably one of the best games I had. Like, I know, like, just, it go like, the matchup's a lot more deeper than just getting whoever gets Vileplume first, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because he plays so many Pokemon, so if he ever gets a Sycamore and is able to, like, Sycamore away all those Pokemon attack with a Vespiquen, it can get a little scary, and that's why I had the Jirachi, so I can prevent that, like, from him doing it consecutive times. And game one, I was able to go. He went first actually, and he missed the Vileplume, which was very huge. But I had the Yveltal EX on the bench. I don't know what I started, but I had an Yveltal EX on the bench with an energy for my first turn. I was able to get the Vileplume and red card him. So that game ended pretty quickly. Game two, he was able to get it and do like had a ridiculous amount of Pokemon on the discard. So even if I was able to attack, he had another Vespiquen power, like being able to have like on board and able to revenge kill me. And I didn't have a DCE, so I wasn't able to Y Cyclone to my other one. So he was able to just sweep my board, and I couldn't really do anything about it. And game three was really close. I got the turn one Vileplume. with the floatstone and stuff. But he was able to actually open a supporter and be able to like shaman loop a little bit because I was struggling with getting energies because I had to discard like 3 I think to be able to get the lock on. So I whiffed the energy once or twice to be able to knock out shaman. So he did like 3 times. So he had 90 damage on me, and I was able to uh, kill a shaman EX. And but I knew that if I killed one, he can have a Vespiquen online to revenge kill me. So I had to make sure I had a Yveltal EX with the energy on it on the bench. So he was just hoping I didn't have another one, another energy, and I did. And then I was able to kill that Vespiquen. He had another one online, and then he killed my he killed he killed my Yveltal EX. So he had 4 prizes taken. So and I had like 3. So I sent him my Vileplume, and I was able to use Fright Knight's attack, I think, and I was able to knock out. I wasn't I was able to knock out a Vespiquen, but I was not able to knock out one of the shamans because you just sky return that shaman that I did it to. So I was able to knock out that, and I think I was and then it like he took a prize on my thing, so he had 1 prize left. I think no, he did not knock out my Fright Knight. I retreated it into something else. Then I was able to have when I was able to like get the 1 prize down. He when I was able to get him to 2 prizes down, I retreated into my Vileplume because I was having a really hard time to get into my energy. So I retreated my Vileplume with the floatstone on it just to stall, so I'm able to draw into my energies. And he eventually has to knock out my Vileplume to like do anything with this board. I had a bigger deck than he did, so if he didn't knock out my Vileplume, he would deck out. So I knew that knocking out he had to knock out this Vileplume, and he did not notice that if he actually did knock out the Vileplume, I was able to play all my items, hit my energy, and take that last prize. Take the last 2 prizes, excuse me. So I got him to knock out my Vileplume. He was able to get 1 prize, and I was able to play a lot of my items. And once I did play all my items, I red carded him when he had like a huge hand. He had like all of his like answers. So if I was able to send up my Yveltal EX, he would kill me. So he had like a huge hand. I was able to red card him, get rid of all of his outs, attach an energy, play all these, dig all. Actually, no. Before I attach energy, dig all through these cards, get the energy finally, knock out his active. Before I played the Vileplume, of course, and knocked out his active. He was left with nothing, and I was just able to Evil Ball. So that was a really cool play that I thought was really interesting. Like I didn't think of it until just then and there. I was like, oh wait, if he knocks out this, I'm able to stall enough time to get an energy to knock out his Pokemon. And also I knew I had a red card in deck, so in hand, so I was able to like set that up like 5 turns ahead. So that was a really cool game. So round 4, I play against another Vileplume Vespiquen.
And at this point, you're 3-0, correct?
Yes.
Okay, making sure.
And then I was able to abuse Jirachi as much as possible. I was able to start us like 3 times, and then he waited a turn to attach energy to kill it. But then I was 2 ahead. I was able to I went first anyway, so I was able to like set up everything, and it's hard to deal with the 170 HP under lock. So I was able to sweep through. Game 2, he got the lock, and I just scooped. I had my hand with full items. I just drew past like a couple turns and lost. Game 3, I was able to get the lock down, get that evil ball, and able to bench him. So that was cool. I was 4-0 at this point, and I was like, wow. I've played against all item locks so far. This is like really stressful because half my games I just have to scoop or like draw into my energies and like win a really close game.
Yeah.
So it's really nerve-wracking playing against like item lock mirrors because I didn't know there would be so many, and they're like it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So round 5, I play against I don't remember his name. I think it was Caleb something.
Mm-hmm.
Last round I played against Jake Dubdick. If anybody really cares. He played Trevenant. I was like, oh, cool. I was really excited. Like, I knew it was a really good matchup, no matter if I go first or second. It was just annoying that I had to play against another item lock deck.
Yeah.
But I was able to go first, get Vileplume, Evil Ball, and basically he got I think he and then game 2 he whiffed the turn 1 Trevenant. So I was like, oh well, I think I kind of win now, and I was able to set up and win shortly afterwards. So it wasn't really a long game, like a long set, but it was nice. And then I was 5-0 at this point. Uh, I ID'd with Grafton Roll. He played like his weird Vespiquen, Zoroark, Bronzong,
Oh yeah,
Zebstrika,
I
that
heard
deck.
that.
Yeah.
That
And
was
he got
weird.
top 4, so that was cool. And then I ID'd again the last round with a Toadtina player from North Carolina. I cannot remember his name. It was like Chris something. I don't know his last names. So I was able to get second seed, and
Nice.
yeah, and just my luck, I play against another item lock deck.
Oh boy.
Play against Vespiquen Vileplume.
Oh boy.
It was against one of my friends, Tristan Lackey. He's pretty cool. I think we had a really close set. Um, it's based like the game game 3 was close at least. Like game 1, then game 2 went accordingly. But um, game 3, it was really close. I was first, and I got I think I whiffed the Vileplume, which was really scary. Um, but I got it turn 2. But he was able to like discard a decent amount of stuff, and I was able to abuse Jirachi and abuse my HP on Yveltals. But he was able to get so much Pokemon to discard that my Yveltals were kind of like getting blown up. So I had to stall with Jirachi a lot, and uh, so it was cool because he had 3 energies in discard, and he has 1 DC in hand. Um, and he reveals that he actually plays an AZ, which was I wasn't surprised, but he never had it the other games, so I was like, oh crap. So like he was able to AZ his fifth one of his 5-bench Pokemon, so he could match a Bumblebee and then Rototiller the energy. So I'm like, okay, so the Jirachi option's not good anymore. So I was able to I just Stardusted until I was able to like kill the Jirachi, which was funny because I mean the Bumblebee. So he just let me kill it, and then he killed my killed my Jirachi. And then I was able to Evil Ball, and he had 1 energy left. He had like a couple cards in hand. He didn't have much. He was able to play down a lot of stuff. So he never really had a big hand the whole game. And he draws a card. He was holding on to a Sycamore for like ever, and was able to Sycamore his deck. He had like 15 cards left, 14, like a really low amount, not like crazy low, but a low enough amount, and was able to hit his last DCE and knock out my Yveltal EX, and I lost in top 8. It was really close. He only had 1 Sycamore left, but I was assuming he was holding on to it, so it didn't.
No.
It was rough. So I lost in top 8, and it sucks because if I won, I would have been able to have my invite.
So, how was your other 2 weeks of states? Or did you not go to any other states?
Week 3, I played a similar deck to what I played the other weeks, but I don't know, like I guess I was just drawing bad all day. Like I didn't have the best of luck.
Did you top 16 that day or no?
No, I didn't. I just dropped from that tournament. That was one of my bad states.
Yeah.
And then I played Yveltal Vileplume, but I played like Aegislash EX to deal with Night March and Vespiquen. So like the luck is not like crazy. I still had Jirachi in there, but it just wasn't enough.
However,
I wasn't drawing well.
What about the week 4? What did you play there?
Week 4, I played a similar deck to what Grafton played, but it was actually a lot more like it's like the core is like kind of the same. It was like a Vespiquen Zebstrika deck, but I had Yveltal. It was like Yveltal Fright Knight with the Energy Acceleration Yveltal. I played Gallade, like a 1/1 Gallade. I had the Vespiquen Zebstrikas, all that stuff. And I went 4-2-1, but the states was so big. It was big enough that I whiffed top 16. I was 20th. I think only a couple 4-2-1s made it, so I wasn't able to get points there. But I played against 4 Night March and went 2-1-1 against them. Like the matchup's not even that bad. Like I think the matchup's actually 50-50. But it's one of those 50-50s like if they bench Shaman, then they kind of lose because I'm able to Lysander that shaman and go up in the prize trade. But they're able to take the first knockout, so like kind of evens it out. But so if I'm able to prevent the target whistle, then the target whistle Lysander combo, then I'm good. So I just filled up my bench as much as I could against that deck, so they wouldn't be able to do that. And when I was able to do that, I was able to win those sets. But the one I lost, I think I whiffed an attack like twice, and I had pretty poor draws against that deck. And Night March just did Night March things. And then the one I tied, I made a really silly play. I could have attacked with. I had 3 attackers on board. I had a Gallade, a Zebstrika with the and also if you don't know what a Zebstrika does, its ability when any lightning type can go through all
I'm putting up
effects.
right now on the screens for them, so continue.
Okay, cool. It does that, and it's really cool because I thought like Mega Ray Quasla with Jolteon would catch up. So that's the main reason I played it instead of Zoroark. Because that deck's been dominating the Southeast, and I was really surprised with how cheap it is, surprisingly. And the only expensive things is, like, obviously everybody has Shamans, but like Jolteons. And Jolteons were pretty common from what I've seen, like the later weeks. Like I've seen a lot of decks play Jolteon, so I was really confused of why Mega Ray wasn't played. So that's why I played it, because if you don't, you can't really be Revenge for 220 turn 1 or 2. Turn 2 mainly, you can't really attack turn 1, but like it's just kind of crazy that no one played it, because it got second at the Alabama as well. It got like top. It was in the finals every states I went to.
Wow.
So I was really surprised. But the deck was really good. So I think I ditching Yveltal Vileplume was a bad idea. I think I should revert to its like my week 2 list. I think then that would have been fine if I just kept playing that throughout the states. But you live and you learn. So
yeah. And my theory is if you do out the deck, just go with the saying, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
exactly. That's what I normally think, but then I don't listen to myself. So
Alright? Sometimes you have to listen to your gut, but alright, one last question. We're running out of time, so we don't have too much time to go over too much about the list, but one last question in general. How many championship points do you go into states? And how many championship points do you sit at now? Do you feel comfortable making your World's invite?
I sit at 202 before states. I have not played in any regionals because I think expanded is probably one of the worst. Like in my opinion, it's one of the worst formats we had since 2011, and I still think that right now. Like it got a little better with Sableye not being that good, but assuming because due to its placements at the Winter Regional Championships.
No one played because I think no one wanted to play. I think that's the biggest problem. No one wanted to play Sableye.
Yeah, and it also had a weird matchup against the Trevenant and the Groudon. So that's the main reason. But I still think it's just I think the format's really bad, and Standard's not as bad as people think. And then after states, I sit at 282. I got 80, so not bad. I could have got 110, but that kind of sucks.
So are you maxed out on league challenge points yet?
I have 72 league challenge points. I have to win 4 league challenges to get 18.
Ugh.
But I'm planning on going to Georgia regionals. So if I have to play an expanded, sadly, I just don't want to waste my whole season.
That's fine. But yeah, going to regionals would probably be a good thing to do at this point.
Yeah. I have enough LCs, but I'm not sure if I can win all those in a row because I have a lot of players in my area that are close to their invite as well that are doing it too. So if I do that, but I normally do well at them, so I should be close to get like top 64 to be able to get my invite.
All right. So, I hope you do manage to get. I do hope you do. I do hope you get your invite, and thank you once again for being show. Thank you once again for doing this interview with me and sharing us your fairly unique list and deck.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I had a lot of people ask for me this deck. It was really funny, but they never had like the edge to play it. They knew it was really good, but they never like wanted to commit to it, and they kind of sadly regret it.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you once again for doing this with me. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to watch this video today, and stay tuned for future content and future reviews. And I'll probably after I'm done interviewing for everyone from states, I will probably still be doing reviews, not reviews, but interviews with people who did well at regionals and maybe even nationals. Heck, maybe even worlds. But we'll see. We'll see. I just hope that you're one of them, Austen Vance, if you do well.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone who watches. Please like, subscribe, all that silly stuff, and I shall see you guys hopefully next time.